afternoon and welcome to another episode of Live 605, except it's live, but it's not 605. That's right, folks. We're still under lockdown here in New South Wales, Australia. Yeah, what can we do? What can we do other than watch live streams and other content on Facebook and YouTube or wherever else you're watching us from? A big cheerio to those of you that are new. And if you are new, just put new below in the comments. Why? Because I like to reach out to people that are new and say hello, a big cheerio, as we say here in Australia, for what promises to be a rather stylish show. Well, I'm promising that. I don't know whether I'll live up to the promise. I hope I will. I hope I will. Anyway, as I said, you can be watching us live on Facebook, either through my own personal profile or through the Stray Whisker Facebook page, as well as the Shave the Man YouTube channel and Stray Whisker TV. Look, we're syndicated across all those platforms. Isn't this exciting? I think it's exciting. Anyway, as I said, we are running these lives now at 3:30. I would love to sit around and wait until 6:05, but my work here is done, other than to say hello to each and every one of you here this afternoon. I've decided that I should keep shipping, keep turning up, and keep fighting the good fight. And by fighting the good fight, I mean turning up and saying hello to all these wonderful people that are following us. Paul Phillips, hello, good afternoon. I am well, Paul. Thank you. Thanks for asking. Well, I'm in one piece. And it's you know, it is what it is. Thurston, hello. Big cheerio from Germany. I'm kind of new. I think I have seen you around before. Anyway, welcome from Germany. It's very, very nice of you to cheerios. I meant elbow comic. It's okay. Thank you for joining us. It's really an honor and a pleasure to have all these new people on and people from all over the world. Hi, Desi. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you jumping on the live. But what else is one going to do? As I said, we're in lockdown at the moment. So it's business as usual in terms of the online, but retail and face-to-face with customers, unfortunately, is not happening currently. We've just been announced, actually, that we're going to be in this lockdown for at least another 2 weeks. I don't know what that means for where you are, but it certainly means that it's a big disruption up here in the beautiful Blue Mountains of New South Wales. Anyway, this is one of those things that we just need to, deal with. Speaking of dealing with, like last night, I was watching the local news, and one of the stories that came up was that school children will now be continuing their education online. So we've gone back to the online delivery, online learning. And one thing I was intrigued by was a young student who sat in front of his laptop, ready to participate in this lesson, this distance online lesson that his teacher had put together for him. And he was in his school uniform. So even though this young man was at home, sitting outside. In fact, he was outside under the on the balcony there. He had to get dressed in his school uniform and appear before his colleagues and his teacher in school uniform. I'm wondering what you think of that. I'd be really interested to hear what your thoughts are on that. I have some thoughts on it, and I know some people thought it was a bit silly that a child should have to get into their school uniform. The school uniform. I mean, I know there are schools that don't really insist on or have a very, very strict rule on school uniforms. But this young fellow was in his school uniform, and all he was going to do was sit there and participate in an online session. I'm going to cover online Zoom platforms and, streaming platforms in the next live in greater detail. We'll talk about that and how perhaps we can improve the lives, because I've had a number of people ask me The visuals are really, really great. The picture's great and all that. I'm sorry, the subject's not so great. Hey, you just got to live with it, I guess. I have been told that I have a great face for radio. I also have a great face for espresso, so I'm going to have some of that. So we will be talking about Zoom and other streaming services and how you should present yourself on those. But today in particular, we're going to look at, does the clothes maketh the man or the woman? How important is clothing? Does it make any difference? Does what you wear make any difference? Does the fact that today I wasn't going to see any customers in a real sense, I turn up like this? Why would you do it? What's the point? Turn up with your sweatpants, tracksuit pants, a hoodie, baseball cap, you'd be fine. No, not me. Not me, and I'll explain why. I'll have to put forward my case and explain it to you. It's actually quite simple, but we will be talking about that. What you wear is important, and I'm not talking, let's make a distinction here. I'm not talking about fashion. I'm not talking about, fashion runway, catwalk sort of stuff where people, wear these amazing outfits and, parade up and down. I'm talking about pret-a-porter, ready-to-wear fashion is one thing, but I'm talking about how you present yourself on a daily basis, whether it be at work, in your profession, or, when you're out and about with friends. Of course, I don't always look like this when I'm out and about with friends. I'm normally in a bikini. You can't get that out of your mind now, can you? Me in a bikini. Try not to think of an elephant. Not that I'm an elephant, by the way. Anyway, enough of the pachyderms. It's very, very interesting. We will. So I want to hear your thoughts on that. What do you think? We've got a comment here. Hi, Sarah said, I think wearing a uniform is important during classes. Look smart, work smart. Would the parents be happy to have their children taught online face-to-face by teachers in casual wear? Interesting question. Look, I agree with you, Sarah. Thanks for that comment. I think it's very important. If you turn up, if you're there and you turn up, if you're not wearing your school uniform, and this was I think it was a year 11 or a year 12 student, if you're not wearing your school uniform, it all becomes a bit of it's almost like PlayStation, right? Just mucking around. It's very laissez-faire. It's, this might be a lesson. It might not be a lesson. But this kid was ready to go. And it changed his mindset, I believe. Because they asked him, they said, really, a uniform? Really? He said, yeah, quite happy to wear it. That's fine. I know I'm at home. I know I would have been at school now. I'm not. I'm just going to wear my uniform, and then when all of this is over, I'm just going to get back into my casual gear. Let us know what you think. I think it's quite an interesting topic, actually. But again, we're not just going to talk about streaming services and wearing uniforms. I want to talk more generally about how you present yourself and why I believe it's important. A lot of people, since this COVID thing, have had to work from home. And with that, the sort of luxuries of that come that you can just sort of, sit around on the couch and just be you. And that's fine because you're in familiar surroundings. That's where you live. But if you're working or if you're participating in Zoom meetings for a split second or for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour, or however long that Zoom meeting lasts, actually it's not you in your environment. It's someone else that needs to be there, that needs to show up, that needs to ship the work. And that's, as I said, don't want to steal the thunder of the next live, but that's what we'll be discussing in the next particular show. Right, so what is it about this getting dressed up? What is it about presenting yourself, be it if you're a lady or a gentleman? What is it? Desi says, I noticed a student in uniform. I think it was fantastic. Good on him. I'm in lockdown. I still get up and get dressed and put a big, good on you, Des. Look, absolutely. It's a mindset. I think it's very, very important. It's a mindset. Otherwise, you're just going to stay in your pajamas. You may even just stay in bed, and that's nice. But after a while, you just sort of, I don't know about you, but I start to get a bit restless. And staying in your pajamas is only fun because the majority of the time you're not in your pajamas. It's something you look forward to. If you're going to be in your pajamas all day, forget it. It's just going to bring you down. It's going to bring the whole energy level down. It's going to bring how you approach your work down. And in fact, I have to say, it may even bring how others perceive you and see you, which is the key point that I want to talk about. Why is the way we dress important? Hello from Arizona. Hi, Paul. Why is it important? Well, believe it or not, it is a form of communication. Yeah, it's communication. 70%, at least 70% of communication is non-verbal, right? If I don't say anything now, which might be a relief for some of you, if I say absolutely nothing now for the next 30 seconds, I'm still communicating with you. I mightn't be verbalizing things, okay? That's a vocal and a verbal form of communication, but there is a lot of non-spoken communication that's going on. So immediately you're receiving signals that says, okay, look at this guy, he's decided to shave today, or he's doing this, or look at that lady, she's worn a nice blouse or a dress or a skirt, whatever it is, and she has presented herself. You're immediately communicating something. And in fact, there are some psychologists, social psychologists, that believe that it can be up to 93% of communication is non-verbal. I've seen it as low as 55, so anywhere from between 55 to 93% of communication is non-verbal. So how you look, how you present is very important. It's very important. And you don't have to present like this. I'll take tradespeople, for example. If a tradie turns up, and tradespeople have to, by virtue of what they do, have to be practical, okay? You've got to be practical. You turn up, if you're going to be crawling in cavities in the ceiling, or if you're going to be digging things, if you're going to be nailing things to a wall, you're in a dusty environment, you're on these things. So I understand that. But you can even tell by the way a tradesperson will present themselves whether this person is taking and respects their job seriously. Okay? I've seen tradespeople that turn up and it looks like they picked up their clothes, put it through the cement mixer for about half an hour and then wet it, then wore it, then took it off, threw it on the ground, dragged it around the dirt, put it back on again, and then allowed themselves to be trampled by a herd of elephants. And they rock up for the job and you say, are you kidding me? Really? Really? Iron your shirt, mate. Seriously, just iron your shirt or do something. Why? Because you're a tradesperson, you think you can get away with it? No, it doesn't work like that. And I've met some tradespeople that will always clean up after themselves, but I knew they would by the way they presented themselves. So there's a lot of non-verbal communication that goes on. And if there are any tradespeople here, maybe you can let us know. The dryer, yes, Alex, well, that's a good trick. The dryer does work. Whack it in the dryer and that'll... I'm not suggesting you turn up with, a Windsor knot and beautiful creases on your shirt and say, look, I'm well ironed, because there's also, it can go the other way as well. People say, this guy's a little too well ironed and looks after himself. I wonder how much work he's actually going to do. What is he, a foreman? It's important though, because it communicates. Remember, up to 70, but they've said even 93% of communication is non-verbal. So what you're doing when you turn up somewhere, looking the way you do, is you're communicating with someone. You don't have to open your mouth. You don't have to say anything. We make a split-second decision about that person, whether we like it or not, whether it's true or not, or accurate, or whatever the case may be. Now, if someone's just fallen in a ditch and they get out of the ditch and they dust themselves off, obviously that's context, okay? You know the person's had a misfortune or something's happened. But if somebody turns up for a job for the very first time and they look like they don't respect what they do, remember this. First and foremost, you have to respect the work you do before anyone was going to respect you. And then you have to respect the client. The client will respect you and you will respect the client or the customer or whoever you want to call it, whoever it is you deal with. And that's very, very important. It's so important because it's communication. People think it's fashion. It's not fashion. Fashion communicates lots of things. Fashion signals a lot of things, but it is a form of non-verbal communication, and you get one shot at it very quickly. You turn up looking like a bum, that's the message. And then you're backpedaling from there to unbum yourself. Is that a word? Unbum. You know what I'm talking about. Stuffy, there's a fine line with a tradie. If he or she is too clean, he might be perceived to be a supervisor, not the actual head. Yes, I agree. But look, I knew a Sparky that had turned up to the job and every day, worked very hard, did the work, put in the hard yards, the hard yakka, as we like to call it. But the guy came in and you could see his clothes smelled like Omo, like very clean. Now, I don't know what he was doing, and he was doing the work, right? So the guy turned up, he just looked the part. And when he said to me, listen, we've got to run a conduit across here from here to here. The first thing I said was, okay, so this guy's putting on the conduit talk now. He's got to, we need some three-phase, we got to do some three-phase power. What was important was that I had faith and trusted him because I knew that he knew what he was doing, because if he didn't, first of all, he wouldn't be showing up every day, because that's what it's about. It's about showing up. It's about communicating. Remember, you don't need to open your mouth. Just looking at someone gives you some picture. Now, is it always accurate? No, it's not always accurate. I'm not going to say that everyone that turns up looking like Valentino is going to be a great tradesperson. But what it does is it says to you, it signals to you that they're very serious about the work that they do. And that means a lot. It means a lot in business. Alex says, I don't rate people who overdo it with the impressing. Yes, you'll be switching off soon then, Alex. No, you won't. Like a hottie wearing a mini shirt. Right. Alex, it is early though, isn't it? Can we say things like, we can say things like that. Doesn't matter, even though it's not 6:05. The vehicle is just as important. If there is order in the van, truck, there's more likely to be order in the execution of the task. Yes. I've seen some trucks, and I don't know how they find anything in those trucks. But anyway, look, I don't want to bash tradies. We're not here to bash tradies. Tradies have work to do, and I really appreciate the work that they do. It's very important. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that when someone comes in to give you a quote and they turn up like they don't respect what they do or they're sick of what they do you have much faith in that? You think, oh, okay, does this guy really want to be here? I know he's going to try either overquote and try and price himself out of the work because he doesn't really want it, or he just doesn't care. I don't know. I don't know. Alex is an electrician and he would do it for me for free. I love you, Alex. Thank you very much. And I know that you, I've seen you in your work gear and it's always been impeccable. That's important, okay? It's important. Look, again, I don't want to get stuck into this whole tradesperson thing and all the rest of it. What's really important is that, you kind of consider what you're communicating to the other person, okay? Because you turn up somewhere, before you're given the opportunity to verbalise or to vocalise things, that person's got minutes, seconds, I should say, seconds, and they make up their mind. They say, this bloke, look at him. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Now, what does that mean for you and I? Well, as I said, I get a lot of questions. A lot of people ask me whether... I get a lot of DMs and things. They slide into my DMs. There's a new term. They slide into my DMs and say, "Oh, nice suit, whatever, blah blah blah," all that sort of stuff. Comments about shirts and all that kind of. So I don't really. What do? You just say, "Well, thank you. That's fine." But there was a young man who actually sent me a message, and he said, "Look, could you please do a live and talk about the sorts of things that you think people should have, young men should have. I'm a university graduate. I'm now going to start a job. What do I need? Can you please help me?" And I thought about it. I thought, I sort of wish I had that when I was, when I was venturing out into employment, into the real world. Nobody sits you down and tells you this. And I know there's a lot of people there's a lot of alpha males and things on YouTube, and they can tell, they normally scream at you, do this, do that, use this. Don't use the same towel as you wipe your body on your face, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to take a slightly different tack, and I'm just going to say, and I'm addressing this particular young fellow who reached out to me and say, look, there are a couple of things that if you're in a, doesn't even have to be in a profession. As it turns out, this guy was going into a profession where he obviously felt there was a bit of, it was a situation that he knew he had to present in a certain way. It was a corporation, it was a corporate setting, and he said, "What can you do to help me?" Now, had he come to me and said, "Listen, I'm starting up. I'm an apprentice, and I'm starting up with the motor mechanics down the road," I'd still give him similar advice, not exactly the same things, but I'd just still say, "Listen, when you rock up, what's happening is that you're communicating from the first second you walk in there. Even when you're not there, you're communicating. You're saying things. These are non-verbal things, which are very important." Anyway, back to this young man. So I thought, okay, what would I do? What am I going to tell him? What should I say? What does a young man need? And I've done this with people that have worked in banks and accountants and all sorts of things. It doesn't matter where you are. There are certain things I think that have worked for me. Now, this is not the hard and fast rule. This is not what everyone should go out and do, but this is something that I truly believe in, and I think it's worked for me, so I'm going to share it with you. And I also want you to share with me whether you've had similar experiences. So for a young man, and I'm sorry, ladies, if you had to endure this, although you may have sons or know a young man or may want to pass this information on to them. When it comes to, we'll start with a shirt, okay? My recommendation to young people is, if you're going to go for a shirt, keep away from stripes and checks. They're okay when you're having pizza with the mates or when you're going to the pub or when you could go to the pub. Remember the pub? Remember that place? When you could socialise, you could wear the stripes, you could wear the checks, you could do all that sort of stuff. In a work environment, it's very, very, very hard to carry it off. It may come off as, it doesn't quite work. Look at the jacket the guy's wearing or whatever. So I would stick with very basic, solid colours, all right? Keep away from checks and stripes, okay? Because although they might add some individual flair to your look, it's not the thing that I would be saying to someone and feel confident that they'd be able to carry it off, not because they're incapable, but because it's really hard to make those things work. Besides, you're communicating, right? Remember, you're communicating. If you turn up with Burberry checks everywhere, some people are going to look at you and say, "Quick, where are the fire exits? Call the SES, call the ambulance or something. We need help." So, what are my recommendations? My recommendations obviously are you must have white shirts, okay? Have a white shirt or two or three. I've got a little formula that I stick to, and it's worked for me, right? That's all I can say. It's kind of worked for me. Casual night out. Yeah, look, casual night out, knock yourself out. I think you wear your checks, I've got checks, I've got stripes, but I don't wear them when I'm at work. And there's a reason that it's too busy. There's too many things happening. I think it's stay plain and it'll just work. I know the plain Jane thing is, okay, got to be. Believe me, it's easier for you to stuff up a check and a stripe than it is to go plain. Hi, Sophia. Yes, agreed. Plain and tailored is a win. Absolutely, every time. You're not going to lose if you go plain and tailored, right? If you go stripes, they're groovy, they're great, they're fantastic. It looks like, you could have been at the Arias last night, rocking going out there on the red carpet and getting photographed in front of a media wall. But let's face it, how many of us can carry that off in a daily environment? These are things to think about. Anyway, so the three things that I would consider, none of my shirts are as checkered as my past. In fact, Tom, I remember you used to buy a lot of shirts. Tom would buy shirts rather than wash them. Oh, look at another shirt. Here's another shirt. You going to wash that shirt? No. Here's a new one. And I won't go into how I know that. Right, so 3 shirts. You get a white coloured shirt, plain as. a light blue, and, hear me out on this, a dusty pink, right? A dusty pink, right? Yes. Now, there is method to my madness. Maybe I should move across to here so you can get a good look at that. Where is it? Right, there, this way, that way, this way, yeah, there it is, right? White, dusty pink, and blue. Now, I have a formula for this, and I know this probably sounds a bit crazy, but if you stick to this formula, you're not going to scare the horses away. People aren't going to think, this guy's some sort of, I don't know, some pompous ass, and it'll just work, right? It'll work. My formula is the ratio of 7 to 2 to 1. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? Well, I have more white shirts than I have blue, right? So I'll have 7 white shirts, 2 blue and 1 dusty pink. Now, before you go on and say, oh, are they all the shirts? No, I'm saying it's a ratio, right? So if you don't have as many shirts, this is the ratio. Why? Nothing like a beautiful white crisp shirt. There is nothing that beats it. But don't be trying to wear it 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 days in a row like boys do. Don't do it, right? Firstly, it's you're going to get Grand Canyon grime, and also don't do it, please, right? That's why you have more white shirts, and they're more versatile, right? The blue shirt can be worn with jackets. Again, it's a single color, right? And I intersperse it if need be. Now, remembering this is if you're working amongst people, and this is all very theoretical at the moment because we're all in isolation here in Australia. I know the people are starting to move around the place all over the world, but this means that with the blue shirt, you can intersperse, wear a white, hit it with a blue, white. Now, what on earth is he talking about with this dusty pink? Well, a lot of workplaces have at school we used to call it Muffy Day, right? It was the day that it might be a Friday afternoon, it could be something a little bit more cash, might be something that says, listen, I know you guys think I'm wearing the same white shirt, right? I know you guys think I'm wearing the same white shirt. I'm actually not. I've actually got other shirts too. And there is a trap that we try and fall into, the striped or checkered shirt. This is in a work environment, please. Don't confuse this with going out and going to the movies or going to parties and all that sort of. It's a different thing, right? This is the ratio. It works for me. I like it, and I kind of just now. Have I organised my life like this precisely? No, but it's a guideline. Okay, and I think if you stick to these guidelines, you'll be okay. I just think that it will make your life easy. If you keep the whole thing very simple, it works. Think about all these great idols, these Hollywood stars of yesteryear. Very simple. Shirt, tie, jacket. Shirt, tie, suit. That's it. That was it. All this expression and this need to express oneself is fantastic. I'm all for it. I love it. I love creativity. And I love that, people feel that, it's the thing. It's the thing that one does. That's great. That's great. But you need to keep it simple. You had a Muffy day every day at school. Alex, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, a lot of schools have Muffy days. Sophia says, look sharp, navy and white or black and white, crisp, professional. Absolutely. Yep. I want to talk about another colour, and I put this in the description of the video, and that is, I was having a bit of fun. Why do architects wear black? You notice that? There's a lot of architects that sort of love this kind of black or sort of very subdued colour. Now, there's a couple of reasons that have been put out there. They wear black because it kind of looks cool. It's easy. You don't have to think about it. You wear the same black T-shirt or the same black jacket, more or less black. Okay, I know they wear sort of rather subdued tones. Some are greys and all that kind of stuff. It all looks very great. I don't know whether they wear it because it's slimming, but that's one I think. Another one has been that when they're drafting, Traditionally, they would draft with graphite and pencil, and if they were wearing a white shirt, it would just make a mess of it. And then when they had to go on site to visit clients and all that, they looked like they'd been rolling around in a box of crayons or something. So to eliminate all that, we're black. But there's something else going on here. I think it takes a certain amount of confidence to say, look, this is it. I don't want to distract you. Any other colour would be a distraction. If I turned up in a pink shirt as an architect, people would say, sit down. It's all right. We'll talk later. I'll call you. We'll call you. Right? Why? Because because going to this thing of communicating, you're communicating to people that you're going to put your creativity into it, which of course the architect does. That's why you hire them. But what the architect is signaling to you is, look, I'm confident enough and moody enough and sophisticated enough to be able to design something which is absolutely amazing, and you need to trust the process. Now, if I turned up in a Hawaiian shirt and said you need to trust the process, you'd be thinking, okay, maybe it'll be okay, probably is, unless you've got an amazing reputation. Have a look it up, Google it. Architects, they wear a lot of black, a lot of dark greys for that reason, because they don't want to interfere with the process. Because what they're doing is they're trying to find out what the brief is. They're trying to get information from the client, and without bringing too much into it. What they will bring to the equation will be the work of art that they produce as draftspeople and architects. So there is another form, there's another example. I mean, it's an example that I would use to sort of, illustrate the point. Now, suits. You don't need to buy 55 suits. It's great if you do, but you'd have to think about wearing the suit. And this is where I feel for ladies. Ladies need a new frock, and if they don't get it, they think that people remember that they wore the same bloody thing last time. Oh, remember that wedding we went to? I think she was wearing the same thing. Yeah, I think she's wearing the same thing. Men don't care. Men are silly. They're blind. They don't see that stuff, but ladies do. So there's a different pressure on women. They have a different different norms and things that they need to sort of adhere to. But men can get away with, as I believe Carl Stefanovic, who's a newsreader and TV personality here, wore a blue suit for a whole year, didn't change it. No one said anything. All his hosts had to go through wardrobe after wardrobe after wardrobe after wardrobe. The thing about men is that they can accessorize the suit with a pocket square or something like that, maybe a vest, no vest, tie, no tie. If you're going to wear a tie pin, please don't wear a vest. They don't go. You don't do that. If you're going to wear a vest, you don't, and a tie, you don't need to wear the tie pin. If you're not wearing a vest and you're wearing a tie, that's when you wear the tie clip, the tie pin. Look, 2 suits you really need, and that's it. The third one, just go and hire, and they are a blue suit. Every man needs a blue, navy-ish. When I say blue, I mean, it's sort of a bluish kind of suit, which will get you'll get away with all sorts of things here. Just blue, sort of a nice, like this kind of blue, and you'll get away with all sorts of things with that. You can dress it up, dress it down, and it's, it'll keep going. It'll keep on keeping on. The other one, of course, is a grey suit, a blue and a grey. Now, I can hear people saying, what about the pinstripe? What about Tony Montana and, Al Capone and all that? That's great, but we're talking about what's going to work every time, right? Blue and grey. Black suit. Great if you're going to a funeral or if you're going to a black tie event. If you're going to a black tie event, just go and hire one, unless you're going to a lot of black tie events. You don't need to go and buy a black suit. These are the things that I would recommend to you. You don't need just blue, grey. Now, blazers and jackets, go knock yourself out. Get one with Admiral's buttons here if you like, or whatever it is. But you don't need to go and buy a black suit, because think about what you can wear a black suit with. Not much. Anything you try and wear with a black suit will either make you look like you're mourning or you're the waiter, right? Don't do that. You need a bow tie when you go to a black tie event, if you're fortunate enough or unfortunate enough to get invited to a black tie event. That's it. Hire it. Don't buy. You don't need to buy. What for? Or if your line of work requires you to wear a black suit because you're a maitre d' or a funeral director or whatever it is. Although funeral directors don't wear black a lot these days, they've moved to greys and more subdued tones. So that is it. I'll talk briefly about shoes and then I'll shut up. I will allow you to come in and ask questions if you have any. Shoes, very, very, very interesting. Black shoe, can't go wrong. Brown shoe, can't go wrong. Tan shoe can go wrong. All sorts of wrong, right? Not many people can rock the tan shoe. There's too much of a contrast there, okay? This is all my observations and what's worked to me. I wish I could show you my shoes, but anyway. Very important. A tan shoe works in a very, very limited colour palette. If you start wearing tan shoes, it works with jeans, that's great. If you're going to wear jeans, happy days. But if you're trying to wear a tan shoe with a suit, wondering how many of you out there have a young person in the house that bought the tan shoes because they thought it was a good idea, and then when they put it on with the suit, they go, yeah, well, Mum, I don't really want to wear this. I look like a clown. Happens. Tan shoe, when worn well, but when not, and that's most of the time, can be a disaster. Just think about that. So black and brown shoes, yes. A brogue is a very important shoe to have. Moccasins and loafers, again, we're moving into the Amalfi Coast. And if your life isn't the Amalfi Coast and you're not, visiting Lake Como every other year, relax. Okay, just subdued, keep it neat, tidy. Now, blue and grey, that'll work. Now, remember, I'm giving you what works. I'm not talking about creativity, style. I mean, you could go head to toe Burberry, as I said, or wear something, Kenzo or something like that, and you'll look like, where's the photo shoot? Where has this person come from? Okay, we're just saying turning up and shipping the work and being able to. I'll get these things out of the way. They're in my way now. I don't want to keep looking at them. That's it. These things will work, and they will always work, right? So beware the tan shoe, the brown shoe, good. Black shoe, no-brainer. Try not to wear boots with a suit. Boots are great with a pair of trousers, slacks, jeans, and a blazer, not with a suit. Shoe goes with suit. Boots, they're for jeans and for very, very, very casual thing, and blazer, maybe one with patches or whatever you want to do. But a boot because it looks like you've stolen the clothing. You've taken them from somewhere. Oh, look, quick, run out, get the boot, wear this. No, it has to be a proper lace-up to look the part. Now, you can tell me, Con, you're full of yourself. What you're saying now, it's neither here nor there. You can be, it's personal taste. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. But remember, what you can't help is the communication that occurs in a non-verbal sense. We said that up to 70%, in fact, some studies have suggested 93% of communication is non-verbal. So what are you communicating in a non-verbal sense? That's what you've got to think about. Now, if you're working in an environment where there are creatives, and I know there are a lot of people like that, and I put barbers in that area, even though there's a utilitarian purpose to a barber. If you're working in an environment where expression is important, you're not going to turn up with a brown suit or a grey suit, right? Dress the part. Understand that you're communicating well before you open your mouth, and that's what we have. It's a form of communication. That's all it is, right? And it's important. No matter what you do, no matter where you are, what your walk of life or whatever it is, it's very, very important. Let's take some questions. What have we got? Have we got anything? Nathan, hi Nathan. Dress shoes, laces or no laces? Good one. Okay, if I'm wearing a suit, I tend to wear a lace-up and wear a sock that goes just beneath the kneecap. The problem and we won't get into what about the skinny slacks with no socks kind of scenario, okay? Again, we can talk fashion, but we can talk about, do not wear a slip-on shoe if you can with a suit. Wear a lace-up with a suit. Unless it is a patent leather shoe and it has an ornate buckle or something on it, which adds to the whole evening. I mean, again, you're looking at the event, okay? Why? Because when you sit down, the first thing you're going to do is your trousers will go up and they'll see your very curvaceous and well-defined ankle and the rest. And there's nothing nicer than having a nice lace-up shoe. Now, of course, does that mean that everyone... Look, I don't want to put Windsor Smith out of business, but, and I know that there are practical considerations here. I just slip on the shoe out the door. Shoes are very important. A lot of, for you young men listening here, ladies look at shoes. If you're one of the things that goes into a woman's mind is, this guy's a grot, look at his shoes. You think, hang on, what about what's going on up here? Forget what's going on here. I've done the head to toe thing and you're a grot, you're a grub. This is what I've heard people talk. So yes, I would go lace up with a suit, unless it's a beautiful patent leather with a nice little buckle going across it. It also says that it says you're fit, and we can talk about that in other ways. We can talk about that in other lives if it interests you. But again, remember, this is a form of signalling. All of this is about signalling and it's about communication. So that's what I would do in that instance. Anything else? David, hello. I feel like I've done everything wrong. Oh, not everything. Don't be so hard on yourself. Nearly everything, but not everything. Okay. You haven't done everything wrong. Have you done everything? No. Well, then how could you have done everything wrong? No. Look, everyone says, oh, wear what you're comfortable with. That's true. Absolutely. Wear what you're comfortable with. Wear what works for you. But there are some things that you need to consider. You think he'd wear a tie. What kind of ship is this man? That's right. Yes. I love these references, these literary references. Who else have we got here? Desi, first impression is always important to me, and presentation is one of, but that's true. Presentation is very important, particularly if you're in business, particularly if you're dealing with people on a daily basis, because what you're doing is you're signaling how much you respect where you are. You can't expect others to respect you and your business if you don't respect yourself. How do you respect yourself? Just a little bit of time. I'm not saying go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a wardrobe. You don't need to do that, okay? Just be mindful that these things do matter and people do notice. That's all. That's all I can say. Less is more helps with eliminating decision fatigue. Absolutely. And I would suspect that might be why architects also enjoy wearing black, why they do that. It's certainly one of the things, I mean, uniforms, we started talking about uniforms in the beginning of the live, and that immediately takes away, so it adds cohesion, you're part of the same group. It takes away the decision-making process. You don't need to decide what to wear. You're all wearing a uniform and all that. But there are people that wear uniforms and there are people that wear uniforms. I've seen people wear the same uniform and one wears it well and the other one just wears it. Who do we have here? Hello from a Greek in the UK. Yasu, going. Used to watch your videos years ago, and I'm so glad you're back, and especially with the live shows. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. Limpa33. Don't know who you are, but I really appreciate that. Look, I've tried and change things up a little bit. I know we're talking about shaving and all that sort of stuff, but I want to talk about other things as well. I also think that all these things tie in with mental health. Yeah, they tie in with mental health because it's all about how you feel about yourself and how you present. And that's very, very important, particularly in these very, very challenging times. Do we have any other? My pleasure, Nathan. I don't know. I mean, you're a musician. You're part of a group of musicians that presents, and you mainly stand from memory, but you also sit down quite a bit. So yeah, they're the things that they are the things that I would consider. Please, 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 please clean your shoes. Make sure you polish them and do all that sort of stuff. This is pathological with me. I can't have scuffed shoes. I don't know what it is. It's just something. Because it signals something that I can't be bothered defending if they're not right. It signals something that I can't be bothered getting into a conversation about and defending when the shoes look like I've had them up a cow's bum or something. Anyway, 2/3 of your life is spent in shoes, or for the most part. Do not skimp on them. Yes. Also, do not skimp on a good bed. It is dirty 3:30, by the way. Thank you, Stuffy. Thank you. Right. Well, look, thank you. I'm sorry if I didn't get, I know people were asking about soccer boots and all the rest of it. I knew a guy that used to wear soccer boots he used to wear them to the shops. He wanted to tell everyone he was a soccer player. Where is he now? Huh? Where is he? Well, I'll tell you where I am. I'm here and I'm going. Thanks for following us on this madness and for your contributions on the live. I really appreciate it. I know it's something different. We normally do other things, but again, because the days are sort of turned upside down here, it's all over the place. But I really appreciate you tuning in, especially people from overseas, from abroad. I really appreciate it. I know that there are sort of some ungodly hour in the United States and in Europe. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And of course, as always, we will see you in the next live.